Hello, all. I'm sure you might be there with the last minute preparation. There might be students who are so well preparing their math and science, etc., and last minute just about to start English, and they might be checking what should I do now? From where should I start? So, this video goes for those students who are always doing the last minute studies. I'm here, your Nimi Rajo, with your last minute tips for your board examination English subject 2023. The clock is ticking and just few minutes back, and then you need to complete a whole lot of 26 to 27 portions. So we'll just go through the quick guidelines to how to get more than 90% for English. The first section of the English paper is the reading comprehension. You have 20 questions to be answered in reading comprehension. Reading comprehension is one part where you can get or where you can score the whole 20 marks. So here are a few tips. When you get your cool off time, that's 15 minutes, try to do the reading part. At least one passage you can finish. The pattern of how to do about a reading comprehension is first you read the questions well and then read the passage. Now why am I saying that is most students read the passage first, and then if you go to the questions, obviously you will have to tend to go to the passage again to just look into the correct answers. But if you're looking into the questions first, you know what should I read in the passage, what should I look in the passage, what should I search in the passage. So in that way, what we can do is first read the questions and then read the passage. The second thing is, in the passage, there might be a lot of uncommon words. Ensure that they can be vocabulary tested. So these uncommon words can be the answer for the vocabulary questions. So underline it and it can be useful later. As you all know, you will have a factual and discursive passage. So please be prepared for it. Discursive passage will be the passage which is there in detail, and factual passage is a passage which will have some data. It can be a picture, it can be some data, percentage, etc. One more thing is, do not exceed 60 minutes for reading comprehension. That's very important. Okay, this is the section which help you to score marks, and ensure that before your examination, at least practice 2 comprehension before your examination. With this, we'll be able to get full marks for reading comprehension. Section B, grammar. Grammar is one part basically all the students hate. But grammar is one part where you can score good marks as well. The basic things what have been asked for grammar is 1. Subject-verb agreement, reported speech and tenses. Now we look into which are the important things you need to look into each of this topic. Subject-verb agreement is one thing what you need to look into. In subject-verb agreement, at least 2 to 3 mark questions will be there. Subject-verb agreement consists of basic 9 rules. So we'll go into one by one each rule, and I'll tell you which are the common errors you make in the subject-verb agreement. Rule number 1. The verb and subject must agree in number. For example, as you can see over here, he plays football, they play football. As you can see, please ensure if the subject is singular, the verb should also be singular. If the subject is plural, the verb should also be plural. Now, a common error which almost all the students make is when they see the word plays, runs, etc., they think it is plural. That's wrong. A singular verb is one that has added s to it in the present tense, such as writes, plays, runs, etc. So this will automatically is a single form. So please don't make an error. Plays, runs, etc. is a singular verb. So if the singular subject, you will have a singular verb. If it's a plural subject, it's a plural verb. Okay, so keep this in your mind. As you can see in the second example, they, so more than one, play football. So don't think that play is singular and plays is plural. That's wrong. Plays, whenever there's ending with s, that is singular. Without s is plural. Keep this rule in your mind. Rule number 2. The number of the subject, whether it is singular or plural, will not change due to the words or phrases in between the subject and the verb. Subject is here and verb is here. In between there are certain words. It will not change the pattern of the verb. One rule which we studied before is singular subject, singular verb. It will not change even if there are any other words before. Let's check this example. One of the glasses is empty. So most of the common error is when you see the word glasses, it's plural. So changing is into was. But that is wrong because one is the subject. So when one is the subject, automatically it should be is and not was or where, whatever it is accordingly, because when you see the word glasses you might tend to get confused. So keep this in. Whatever is there in between will not change the verb. Check the second example. The bouquet of red roses smells so sweet. Here bouquet is the subject and not roses. Okay, so this verb should be smells and not smell, as I told in the previous rule. So this is same thing when the subject is the same rule as we studied in rule number 1, but this minor changes, they shouldn't come nothing. Whatever words come in between will not be affected to subject or verb. Rule number 3. Subjects that are joined by and in a sentence always use a plural verb. Subjects that are joined by either or neither or nor use a singular verb. Let's look into this example. Radha and Meera are coming home. So obviously the subject, there are two, Radha and Meera. So that is and, it will be always be plural, are. The next one, neither Akshay nor Rohit. So when you see neither nor, always the verb should be singular. This is the rule number 3. The next rule is rule number 4. Two singular subjects connected by or either, ensure that you use a singular verb. For example, my aunt or my uncle. Okay, there you will use a singular verb, that is. Keep this in your mind. The rule number 5 is the verb in an either or neither nor sentence agrees with the noun or pronoun closest to it. As you can see, neither the plates nor the serving bowl goes on that shelf. So they look into the subject or noun or pronoun closest to it. So it's bowl. As I told you, bowl goes with S, goes. The next example you can see, neither the serving bowl nor the plates. So the plural will be go on that shelf. Keep this in your mind. Rule number 6. This is very important where normally children make an error. Sometimes the subject is separated from the verb by words like along with, as well as, besides, etc. These words and phrases are not part of the subject. You should ignore them and use a singular verb according if the subject is singular. So look into the example. The politician along with the newsmen, okay, is expected shortly. Now why is. Why is used? Because the main subject is the politician. Don't look into newsmen. So whenever you see this along with, as well as, besides, etc., please ensure that you use the singular subject, singular verb. Excitement as well as nervousness is the cause for her shaking. So as well as we saw, it should go with the singular verb. Rule number 7. Use a singular verb with distances, periods of time, sum of money, etc. When you see that, please ensure you use the singular form. 3 miles is too far to walk. 5 years is the maximum sentence for that offense. So use always the singular verb whenever you see the units as distance, period of time, sum of money, etc. So, we were discussing the subject-verb agreement, major few rules I went through. Now we'll move on to the uses of tenses. So we'll see what are the major things to be taken care while we are doing uses of tenses. Okay, most of you tend to make an error because you don't know what is first person, second person and third person. First person is always I, me, we, us, etc. Second person is you, yours, etc. Third person is he, she, it, they, etc. Because this is a major thing what you're supposed to know. Because if you don't know this you can tend to make a mistake. Another major error is most of the boys don't know the forms of be. There might be a question like I dash in brackets B is written, and then the question is use any forms of be. So boys write has been, had been, have been, etc. But you need to know am, is, are. They are also the forms of be. Keep that in your mind. Okay. And along with he, you can see he over here. Along with the he or she pronoun, you can use has been and had been. Along with they, you can only use have been and had been. Keep this in your mind. Along with they, you cannot use has been. So this is major thing where you children tend to make error. That's why I added this slide along with tenses. As you all know, there are basic three tenses. Simple past, simple present and simple future. Basic tense, past, present, future. Okay, I can give you an example. I wore the dress yesterday. I wear the dress every day. I will wear the dress tomorrow. So the basic tense is simple, past, future. Now we need to know the continuous tense. You have past continuous, present continuous and future continuous. Another term is progressive tense as well. So what is past progressive? She was writing a paper when I called out to her. So while I was calling, she was writing the paper. Okay. The present continuous, I am wearing my favorite dress. Which means even now I am wearing it. It's happening now. Future progressive, she will be going to class when you call her. So that is, if you're planning to make a call tomorrow, that time she'll be going. She will be going. So how do you know it's continuous tense? Continuous tense, easy to understand, is ing. Okay, whenever you see writing, dancing, singing, all that is continuous tense. But looking into the tense before it, you have to understand whether it's past, present or future. What is it? Past, was writing. Present, am wearing or is writing, etc. Future, will be. So looking into that, you need to identify whether it is a continuous tense. Another important thing is about perfect tense. I'm sure there'll be a question from perfect tense, especially past perfect. As you can see in this question, after she had moved out, I found her old photo album. In that sentence, two actions are taking place. One, she moved out. Second action is they found her old photo album. So when two actions are taking place, understand which action is happening in the beginning. So after she moved out, they found the photo album. So we should use the word had, because past perfect you should always use had. So why do we use whenever which is the first action which is taken place, there you should use the word had. Present perfect tense, I have driven on that road. Okay, so we use the word have. So what about future perfect tense? I will have completed. Will have as introduced. Okay, so most of the time the questions come from past perfect. So you need to know out of two actions which happened first, there you should use the word had. So past perfect is had, present have, and future will always have will have. Keep this in your mind. According to the subject, it will change. Next important grammar topic is reported speech. I'll just tell you the basic things to be taken care for reported speech. For examination, you will be questioned for statements, questions and commands. Okay, so we'll look into the basic rules for each of them and then we'll go in specific. For reported speech, the major change will happen in the time, place and demonstratives. If a sentence is speaking about now, when you report it, it should be then. Today, that day. Yesterday, the previous day. Tomorrow, the next day. This, that. These, those. Here, there. So these are the basic demonstratives you need to change while you're using the reported speech. Another important thing is for reported speech, we use the backshift rule for tenses. For example, if a sentence given is in present tense, we need to report it into past tense. There is one tense before. Present continuous, you should convert into past continuous. If it is present perfect, it should be in past perfect. If it is simple past, it should be in past perfect. So these are the backshift rule you need to look into. One tense just before. In that, it will be easy for you to understand. So in reported speech, we are using the backshift rule. Okay, now we will see what will happen when you report a statement. When you report a statement, ensure you're supposed to use that. For example, the students are tired, said the teacher. I hope we can see the example. The teacher, see, it's brought in over here. The teacher said that the students will go into the past tense, were tired. So you saw this subject has been brought in over here and you added that, and almost things are similar. Are will be turned into were. So when you're reporting a statement, understand you should add that, and then along with that the verb should be in the previous tense. Keep that in your mind. When you're reporting questions, there can be two kind of questions: yes or no questions, WH questions. For yes or no questions, you should start with helping words. Okay, so just look into this example. Are you working these days? He said. So he asked, said. There are a lot of verbs over there you're supposed to use. So it said. So when you reported he asked, you're adding yes or no questions, you add if or whether. That's the major rule. For statements, we added that. For yes or no questions, we add if or whether. Every time for examination, they ask yes or no questions. So keep this in your mind. So whether I was working, I told you in the previous slide about demonstrative change. These days will become those days. So now we'll move on to WH questions. WH questions means where, what, when, who, how, everything. So WH questions, conjunctions is replaced by the same WH word. Look over here. Where did you go last summer? He asked me where. You can see the same thing WH word is used. Where I had gone the previous summer. So you can see the question word remain the same, plus subject plus the verb comes in for WH questions. Now we'll move on to the reported commands. When you're reporting commands, what do we use? In the place of said to, we can use certain verbs they're mentioning: told, ordered, commanded, asked, etc. And you should use to, to. So change of pronoun. If there's a sentence with don't, you should move into not to. Look into this example. The teacher said to us, keep quiet. So the teacher, instead of said, I told you to use certain words: told, ordered, commanded, etc. So here they've used told us, to, addition of to. To, what did they say? To keep quiet. The to should be added. Now look into the last line. He said, don't mention that. So instead of said, we're using another word. He told me. Don't will change into what I mentioned here? Not to mention that. This is the basic form of grammar which you need to look into. Now we'll quickly go through the writing skills. What are the important writing skills? Writing skills is one major area where the students can score 4.5 to 5 marks. So now these are the writing skills tested: letter to the editor, letter of inquiry, letter of complaint, letter for placing an order, and analytical paragraph. So we'll go into one by one in detail and see how to start and how to end the letter. First, we'll move on to letter of inquiry. As you know, every letter follows the same format. First one is the sender's address, the date with the proper format. As you can see in the example, 25th February, comma, the year. And the receiver's address, the manager. Every time when you write the sender's address, please ensure you write in accordingly to the position of the person. The editor, the manager, the storekeeper, accordingly. And then you write the subject, and then you can write in 2 or 3 paragraphs. So when you start with the salutation, sir, and then in letter of inquiry, first you're telling who you are, okay, and the purpose of writing the letter, and then you write your problem, and in the end you need to have a solution. That is, if you're inquiring something, kindly ensure that you respond to this letter within a span of 24 hours or within 2 days. That's mandatory. Okay, so keep the time also mentioned, and that way you can complete your letter of inquiry. And letter of inquiry, the second paragraph can also be written in bulletin points. No problem in that. Okay, so this is a very important letter. This is called letter of inquiry. A letter to the editor is another form of letter where you write to the editor. Editor cannot solve any problem. Most of the letters I've seen, the last paragraph students writing, please ensure the problem is solved. Editor cannot solve a problem. Please ensure you publish this letter in the newspaper to draw the attention of the concerned authorities. In starting, you can use a similar line. Through the columns of the newspaper, I wish to draw your attention to whatever is the problem, you can write. And in the last line, you should mention to publish this article in the newspaper. Only then the letter will be completed. Letter for placing an order is an easy letter. I would request you, if you get a question, choose this letter. Because the first two lines is just about, through this letter we would like to order a bulk of orders, so and so particular thing. And then you can write, please furnish me with the following details, or please, these are the list henceforth attached with, and draw the tabular column. If it's book, you can mention the book's name, author's name, and the copies required. If it is some other equipments, you can use the brand name. In the last paragraph, you should mention the discount, the cash, whether it's payment on check or credit or cash or whatever, and then when do you need the product. Only then the letter of placing an order will be complete. Letter of complaint is another important thing. As you looked into, letter of inquiry, second paragraph can be in bulletin points, and placing an order, second paragraph can be in tabular column. But letter of complaint can be in 3 proper paragraph or 2 proper paragraph. It is the shortest letter. Letter of complaint, you can look into writing about first the purpose of the letter. I would like to draw attention towards the bad condition of whatever it is, and then you can write the problem, more about the problem. Because of the road, here the example is given about the condition of the road. Because of the bad road, there are accidents happening, and because of the heavy rain, the water pools are there. All that you can mention, and in the conclusion you can mention that they all are facing an issue, please ensure the problem is solved. Okay, like that you can mention. That's a letter of complaint. Analytical paragraph is yet another one which is very important, and this is, in letter you have a choice, but analytical paragraph you don't have a choice. So you need to look into this very importantly. This is a very important question, and it carries 5 marks. Analytical paragraph. See, every time the students ask, ma'am, how to start the analytical paragraph? For this, the answer is here. How do you start? The chart given below describes, the table suggests, the line graph shows. So this is how you start a analytical paragraph. And then if it's a pie chart, or if it's a line graph or a bar graph, you can say to show the increase or decrease, you can use these words. Use of transitional words is extremely important in analytical paragraph. As you can see, the words like soaring rates, it decreased, it stagnated, or you can also mention, you should mention the quantities like percentage or the year, etc. in the trends. And also, if you want, you can compare in 1984 and 1936, you can see a striking increase in something. Or 1934 and 1956, you can see the thing has become stagnant. Okay. And the next thing is to conclude it. Always ensure you follow the word limit. 120 to 150 words is given. Ensure you follow 150. Don't go beyond 160 words. To conclude, we can say overall, we can understand that. Subsequently, in a nutshell, use these words. Is a very, very important. So use all these words, and this will help you to get more marks for analytical paragraph. An analytical paragraph, the major important thing is write it in 1 paragraph without fail. Okay? Literature. Ma'am, so many chapters. How to finish it? You can first start reading all the chapters and poetry that is needed. Or you should know the poets and authors' name, especially in the first flight textbook. Poetic devices are also important. Look into poetic devices. For example, the basic thing of simile. When you see in a line as or like, it is simile. If it's a direct comparison using without as or like, it is metaphor. What is alliteration? Betty bought some butter, but the butter was bitter. So the burr sound repeating. That is alliteration. Okay. In 6-mark questions, please underline all the important points. Okay. So go through that. That will really help you. In literature, another important thing what you need to look into is about the important chapters. Most of the time we have seen in the previous question papers, Indian-based stories questions are asked more. For example, glimpses of India, Boli, and look into those chapters wherever there is Indian-based stories, questions will be important. Questions will be coming in. Chapters like Triumph of Surgery, Fire and Ice, and those chapters we have seen a lot of questions coming in. So go through those chapters which are very important. Now, another major thing is, ma'am, how to complete the paper in time. For that, proper time management is essential. As you can see, I've divided the time accordingly. Reading 1 hour. If you do it properly, you can get 20 marks. Grammar 30 minutes, writing 20 minutes, literature 1 hour, and 10 minutes needed for you to check the whole paper. 10 minutes needed for you to check for the grammatical error, punctuations error, what your spelling errors, etc. is needed. So in this way, you can manage your time very well. Last but not the least, please ensure your presentation is important. Ensure you write in a proper format to the margin and show them when you do the second paragraph. Either leave the space from the margin or leave a line to show the paragraph differentiation. No bulletin points in English paper. Only thing what you do is in letter of inquiry, you can do the second paragraph as bulletin points. Otherwise, write it in proper paragraph. An analytical paragraph can have a proper heading as well. At times, they might also ask in literature last few questions like write a diary entry. So follow the format DDT, day, daytime. They might also ask about dialogue writing. So go through that. Go through 1 or 2 dialogue writing as well. Presentation is very important. Okay. And please understand how do you write in properly. Write properly. For example, you write section A reading. Write the heading section A reading. Okay, Roman number 1, question number 1, write A, the small options, that's the answer. Write the complete option, don't write A, B, C, D and keep it. Okay, the paper should be attractive, underline the important points only in 6-mark question, spacing before the words. Okay, with all this, you can do your English very well. Literature, please read the chapters, especially the Indian textbook, the supplementary textbook, Thief, Story, Boli and all is very important. Okay, so go through the chapters very well. All the best wishes. Nothing is possible and you can do it. Okay, begin the exam with a prayer. God bless you. See you in the next video. Until then, your name is Riju signing off. Bye bye and God bless you.